Hey bros, welcome to SPATULE bros. I'm the chef and today we're here for a little reaction. News, hard news, which I think is fake, but it's making so much noise that I have to talk about it. So, 2 days ago I think, with the upcoming arrival of Genki, Damatsuri, the festival entirely dedicated to the Dragon Ball franchise, which takes place on January 26 or January 25 if I'm not mistaken, in Tokyo, and where several announcements about the franchise are expected, including rumors about a feature film and an animated series along with video games and all that. Well, so as a result, rumors are spreading fast, and every week there are new rumors, right? Last week or the week before, there was talk about a rumor of a possible feature film centered around Vegeta. I kind of believe it, and now what's the new rumor? There are 2 rumors. Oh, actually, there are 3 rumors. There's a rumor that there will be a Dragon Ball Daima movie. I don't know where these rumors come from. But hey, why not? What else was there? Did I forget? And there's a second rumor, which is a new Dragon Ball Super series. But be careful, not a new season of Dragon Ball Super, but a remake of Dragon Ball Super. So there are 2 schools of thought. Some people think it's going to be Dragon Ball Super Kai, like Dragon Ball Kai and Dragon Ball Z Kai back in the day, meaning a version where they remove the fillers. They redo certain scenes quickly to make the anime more modern, cleaner, or a complete remake. And now, where does this rumor come from? It didn't just come out of nowhere either. There's a Genga, which is kind of like a storyboard. I don't really know how to say it in French. A rough animation. An animation frame that first appeared on Reddit, then on Twitter, and we don't know the source. Actually, it recreates the scene from Battle of Gods, where Goku, Vegeta, Gohan, Trunks, Goten, and Videl perform the ritual to turn Goku into a Super Saiyan God. And when you look at the drawing, it doesn't seem to match what we saw in the movie or in the anime. The drawing style is completely different, and the angle is a bit different too, so that's where the rumor started about a Dragon Ball Super remake. And a bunch of other rumors got added to that rumor all of a sudden, which aren't really based on anything, because from the moment that came out, suddenly, there were a lot of accounts saying, yeah, I've known about this for a while, but didn't want to discuss it. Still, I've heard things about it. I tried to make a little summary of the things I managed to gather here and there, and then I'll give my opinion on it. So, according to different sources that I haven't really been able to find again, but it's basically rumors, let's say, it would be a remake of Dragon Ball Super, which this time would go up to Moro Granola, to catch up with the manga, and apparently it would have better animation than the Dragon Ball Super that was released. Wow, it's been 10 years Dragon Ball Super. It's wild to consider a remake. We'll discuss it again later. So it would follow the manga more closely and not necessarily take the same path as the anime, since it was a mess back then. That is, the manga and the anime more or less followed the same storyline, but they didn't go down the same paths. Yeah, there were still quite a few differences between the manga and the anime, knowing that both were considered canon, so it's kind of a big mess there. According to rumors, it would be a remake of Dragon Ball Super, which would follow the manga by Toyotaro and Futoriyama. There you go. Well now, these are the rumors we've been told. Okay. A more modern animation, a slightly more seasonal format to catch up and reach Amolo and Granola. Well, and surely Dragon Ball Super, Superhero 2, so that's my opinion on that. A few years ago, I would have told you there was zero change. Whatever it was a few years ago, I would have told you that. But remember, these last few years, I've only been wrong. Every time there was some news, I would say they're not stupid enough to do that, and yet, they did it. I remember with Dragon Ball Super Broly, I didn't believe it. Everyone said, it's Broly, but I insisted, no, he's not canon, they won't reboot him. But it turned out to be Broly. Okay, I admit I didn't expect that. It might have been a good decision, and the way it was done is fine. Then, there was the superhero. Did you see the superhero? There were rumors that it was going to be all computer-generated imagery, and I thought, no, it's not going to be computer-generated imagery. They're not going to do something that stupid. After the huge success of Dragon Ball Super Broly, they're not going to change the art direction again to use computer-generated imagery. That would be ridiculous. It would make no sense to do that. Everyone was satisfied with the art direction of Dragon Ball Super Broly. Everyone was happy. Everyone said it's good. You've got the right formula. Keep going with that. They're not going to go backwards and use computer-generated imagery. Well, boom, we saw the trailer. It was computer-generated imagery, so I was wrong. Dragon Ball Daima was rumored to be called Dragon Ball Magic. I mentioned Goku would turn into a kid again and have an adventure with Shin in the demon world. I said, yeah, they're not going to give us another Dragon Ball Grand Tour repeat. They're not dumb enough to do that. Come on. Well, damn, that's exactly what it was. So now you're telling me all the announcements we've been waiting for years. Remakes, stuff like that. Either a new series or a remake of the original Dragon Ball, or even Dragon Ball Z, why not? Or just new series, maybe even a Daima Season 2, why not? And out of all the announcements, you're telling me that in the end they're going to make a remake of Dragon Ball Super. I'd be inclined to say that's completely stupid, but precisely because it's stupid, it's probably true. It's possible if we look at the probabilities of it. I've been wrong every time by saying, no, they're not that dumb. They are that dumb. It's a fact. They're dumb enough to do that. Then again, maybe we shouldn't go all out against the Reds on this idea. If you think about it, it's not that stupid, but it's not what fans want. I've never heard anyone say, damn, a remake of Dragon Ball Super, come on, no. The thing is still pretty fresh in everyone's mind. Dragon Ball Super, even if it's a false impression, because Dragon Ball Super started in 2015, so we're at the 10-year mark of Dragon Ball Super. It's not completely crazy when you take that information into account. There weren't 10 years between the remake of Full Metal Alchemist and Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. There weren't 10 years either, I think, between the first Autorix Hunter version and the Madhouse version. So it's not totally crazy to think, hey, it's been 10 years, Dragon Ball Super is kind of the face, the showcase of Dragon Ball today. Go ahead, let's give it a little refresh, a little makeover, and we'll start over. But this time, we'll follow the manga, knowing there's a pretext. Also, because the manga and the anime more or less followed the same storyline, but they didn't tell the same story. Just the black arc in the manga and the black arc in the anime, they're completely different, so maybe it's not that crazy after all. We're gonna follow the manga, so that could be a reason to reboot Dragon Ball Super. It's not totally stupid now, nobody asked for this, so what is it, huh? I can understand a certain logic, the reason for doing this, but once again, it's totally disconnected from what the fanbase expects. Maybe I'm the disconnected one, which is possible since I have the fan base they're listening to now isn't even the Japanese, it's the Americans. The Americans, they're a pain. They should never have gotten Dragon Ball Z, those idiots. Yeah, it's a bit racist, but as soon as they see a transformation, they're jerking off like, oh, incredible. No, Dragon Ball is something else. It's not just that, you see, so it's really not that stupid. It's absurd, but is it stupid? Honestly, when you weigh the pros and cons, we're going to go through the story of Beerus for the third time, for the fourth time, and counting the manga, that's 4. We went through Battle of Gods, Dragon Ball, the Super anime, and the Dragon Ball Super manga. The stories weren't the same either. Now we're doing this a third time, then the resurrection of Frieza, and after that, the first tournament between universes. Are we ready to go through it all again? I don't know, would that really be the big remake announcement? Because right now it's the 40th anniversary of Dragon Ball, I think, that's right. And it's also 10 years of Dragon Ball Super. Honestly, the stars are aligning. It would have made 10 times more sense to me to do a remake of the original Dragon Ball. But Dragon Ball Super, I kind of want to say why not? It's not that stupid, it's not coming out of nowhere, there's a certain logic to it. I think it's getting a bit crazy now. Assuming this information is true. But it would be weird information, I mean it doesn't really fit with the general vibe. Here you can see a week or two ago Torishima was trashing the thing. Saying it'll be crap and the next movie probably will be too. And now, what do they tell us? Yeah, there's going to be a new series in addition to the new movie. It's strange, but they're taking the franchise in any direction they want. There's a series, a movie, and now another movie. It's possible, actually, it's possible. If it turns out to be true, I'm telling you now, I'm going to... I'm going to squeeze the thing dry, I'm telling you right now. There will be reviews every week of every episode. I don't give a damn. I'll even pretend. Info from, oh, but what's going to happen? I don't give a damn. But honestly, Ball Super, if you follow the manga more closely on some points with good animation, it can be watchable. I say, why not? Here, you redo the Tournament of Power, following the manga a bit more, even though the manga has its issues. Roshijiren. You need really great animation for that to work. But honestly, I want to say, why not really? Well, it doesn't have the suspense of, oh, but what's going to happen? That's what's annoying. It kind of kills the fun. But it means that if we go all the way to Molo and everything, it gives us content. For 3-4 years, I say why not? From a business plan perspective, it's actually pretty good. But as a Dragon Ball fan, is it the right move? I don't know. Once again, a remake of Dragon Ball Super never crossed any fan's mind. I've never met a guy who thinks a Dragon Ball Super remake would be great. Either it's a new season of Dragon Ball Super or we get something dark. Because there's material to adapt, there's Moro, there's Granola, there's even Superhero adapted into anime. As sad as it is to say, but a remake from the very beginning. Well, that one, my man, no. I've never heard anyone say that, so who could it come from? Why is that? Actually, I gave some arguments for it. There's the timing. It's not crazy, but doesn't he have some legal arguments? Now, the image is Dragon Ball Super, not Dragon Ball Z. They tried Daima, but to me, Daima flopped. Not only was it not good quality, but I think it didn't have the cultural impact, let's say, that Dragon Ball Super had. Because Dragon Ball Super, despite all its flaws, it traumatized the internet. Dragon Ball Super, the Tournament of Power, back then, the Black Goku arc, people were going crazy. Maybe they want to recreate that kind of chemistry, that magic from back then. We'll see for real. Anyway, that was pretty much all I had to say about this news, which I hope is false. Honestly, because the sources really aren't reliable at all. All that, I'm going to start a rumor too. Maybe it'll pop up, I don't know, but we'll get the answers. Anyway, most likely in the coming weeks, there will be other crazy rumors coming out like this. I may not comment on all of them, but it's reasonable for other rumors to exist. And the Genki Damatsuri, honestly, you shouldn't expect anything. Every time we expect something and we end up disappointed, There we saw the drawing, Toyotaro's Ultra Instinct, Gohan Beast, and a lot of people were like, oh, the manga is coming back. No, it's just to sell a figurine, man. They're even going to do a live stream. Toyotaro will come to present the figurine. Oh. We're going to be really disappointed, that's for sure, we'll see. Honestly, if the Genki Damatsuri is anything like the official Dragon Ball store, the Dragon Ball store, it's not going to be great. I hope I'm wrong, I really hope I'm wrong. I hope the Genki Damatsuri will blow my mind, in a good way. Like, wow, some crazy announcements, that's all I'm asking for. I don't want to complain just for the sake of complaining. I'd love for it to be amazing, but honestly, I don't believe it, but I still believe it a little bit. But anyway, that's all I had to say about this news. I'll let you tell me what you think about it in the comments. And then, I want to thank you for listening to me, and I'll see you soon on SPATULE Bros for new videos. I'm guiding, yes.